My dudes, what is up? Hey, go follow me up, add me up, friend me up on all this shit right here. Username is just Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. I'll add you back on everything. And if you want to donate, you don't have to, but if you want to, there's a link down below in the description to that. And it's also on my front page as well. And I'll read off any sort of donation message that you send me or anything like that. I'll read it off at the beginning of the next video. So, yeah, any guys that want to, send me some dumbass message, you can do it, bro. Some messages, obviously, I can't read for, YouTube laws, right? But anything that I can read, I will read in a actual donation message. So, either way, dudes. So, I just now downloaded the famous Jamie T first-person mod for MX vs. ATV Reflex on PC. I'd seen videos on it and heard about it a little while back. By a little while back, I mean like 3 or 4 years ago. Like I've seen all those old YouTubers do it and shit like that all the way back then, but I never really downloaded it for some reason. I don't know why until just now. And oh my God, bro. Oh my God. This is literally the best first-person camera experience you can have in any arcade motocross game out there, period. Period. Like, seriously, dogs. This is one of the best mods there ever has been for a game. Like, I'm not even joking around whatsoever. So, basically, let me just kind of explain this real quick. Some people don't really understand. So, you got to have the PC version to get it, right? Because it's a PC mod, okay? So, if you have Reflex on console, you're not going to be able to get this. But what I will say is, for whatever reason, on the consoles, specifically Xbox 360, it seemed like the default first-person camera wasn't quite as bad as the default first-person camera on the PC version of Reflex. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but it seemed like more bearable on the console than it did the PC version when it comes to the stock first-person cameras. So it's pretty much a necessity if you play this game in first-person on a PC to get this mod right here. It's pretty much necessity, bro. Like, literally, you gotta have it. Now, on a console, like I'm saying, it's not quite as critical because that first-person camera, for whatever crazy reason, seems to be a little bit better on the console. It's still not like this, but it seems to be a little bit better than the default PC version's first-person camera. But okay, so the thing about this is like I say, you gotta have PC to get it. Okay. And if you don't have a Reflex Central account, you can go to the DS Darksides19.eu website, and he's got it on there as well. So you can still download it off of there if you don't have a Reflex Central account. But oh my God, bro. I swear to God, this is like breathed a whole nother layer to this game to me. Like it's opened up a whole nother realm to me, a whole nother way of playing this game. Like, oh my God, it's just so good. The camera is so good. Basically what it is it's like you took the stock default first-person camera of this game and you just raised the field of view on it so you can actually see what the hell's going on around you, right? You just raise the field of view and you can see more versus being that like weird janky zoomed in, what the default camera was like. You're just way too zoomed in. It makes it so like kind of nauseating when you're playing in the default first-person camera. You can't really see where the fender's at. You can't really see when you whip it over. This is fucking perfect. I mean, this is perfect. He just raised the field of view, and it just instantly made it perfect. So it's not even really all that much different, per se. It's just a higher field of view. That's basically all it is, you know what I mean? And you can really tell that when you, really, if you look down by the hands and you start, leaning back and shit, you'll notice the hands kind of go invisible. Like the arms, I meant. Sorry, not the hands. The arms kind of go invisible when you really start, let me stop here and kind of show this. You can tell the game was really only meant to have, kind of sit a little bit right there, like the closest part of the arm to the rider himself. See how it kind of goes invisible? You'll notice that a little bit in some areas because the game was made to be a lot more zoomed in the first-person camera, but still, it works out pretty fucking good, dog. Like, it works out really well for being a mod. Like, it's just better in every way than the default first-person camera, dude. And I'm telling you right now, I used to be a first-person exclusive player on Reflex on the console for like 2-3 years straight. All I ever did was play in first person. Now, when I first got into Reflex, I obviously played it in third person for like a solid year or two straight, right, in third person. Fully mastered the game in third person. Then it was like, okay, I'm looking for that next level challenge. So then on the 360 version, I went to first person for like the next year or two, bro. First person only. I think that's one really big thing that has helped me sort of transition into playing MX Simulator on first person, is because I played so much first person on Reflex, right? So I know what really, to a deep level, the first person cameras when it comes to Reflex and how that is, you know what I mean? Been a decade and a half since I rode on some of these tracks. God, these tracks are so cool. But either way, so yeah, but this is just really cool to see this, because it just actually makes like first person bearable. Okay, so 2 really big things before you go download this. Attention, everybody. 2 really big things before you go download this mod. Some things you need to know about and really understand. There's kind of 2 little janky, buggy things that might happen with it. So first of all, you might get this, you might go download this mod and get this kind of weird black thing where in the middle of the screen where it kind of looks like your helmet is clipping into your view a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like you'll actually see your helmet a little bit. God, that quad is yeah. So you'll actually see the helmet and it'll be kind of annoying. So basically the workaround for that is you have to pick a different helmet, right? So there's certain helmets in the game that will actually clip, and it'll look really janky and buggy and weird with this first-person camera mod, because this is more zoomed out than the default first-person camera of the game. So you got to just be aware of that if you're having that issue where it's giving you that kind of black, weird-ass, black little, it's kind of like a little black square type shape in the middle of the screen, and it kind of fades away as you ride and kind of fades in and out because your helmet's actually clipping into it. So if you have that issue, oh my God, this is so different hitting big lines in first person, but if you have that issue, just pick a different helmet until you find the right helmet. I know for a fact the Bell helmets in the game don't have that problem. I don't really know specifically all the other helmets, but I know for a fact the Bell helmet does not have that issue, because that's what I'm running right now. I'm running the default black, matte black, or whatever default Bell helmet in the game, and it doesn't have that at all, so you won't run into that problem at all. So you just have to find a helmet that works with it, and it doesn't really matter because you're in first person anyways. You're not like you're going to see the helmet anyways. So that's a really big thing that you might run into, a little bit of an issue that you might run into at the beginning of downloading this mod. And another thing is, if you have motion blur turned on in your actual Reflex settings on PC, this is going to be another pretty monstrous aspect to it. Getting them quads out here, boys. So this is one thing. It's kind of to each their own. You might want to have the motion blur turned on. I automatically had it turned on because I didn't ever really notice it too much in third person. But if you do have the motion blur turned on, you're really going to notice it in first person with this camera mod. When you start going fast, it's going to blur your front fender so much that you can barely even see it. I think it's a little bit annoying for specifically like YouTube content. Now, if you're not making YouTube videos and you're just riding, you might be able to get away with having the motion blur turned on in first person. But personally, I think it just looks terrible for YouTube videos. That's why I have it turned off. So that's kind of the 2 things you just want to be aware of. That quad, bro, you got to not let off in that corner or you will come up short. 2 things to be aware of. You might have to change the helmet to get rid of that buggy clipping of the helmet, and you might have to turn your motion blur off so you don't get this weird super blur effect when you start going fast. So those are the 2 things right there that you have to just be aware of. But other than that, shit's solid, dude. Like, oh my God, it's so realistic when you start. Let me get on a different track here real quick. When you start actually going down in like legit ruts and big custom track pre-made ruts and really digging down into those, it looks so realistic, dude. Like, this is one of the most realistic first-person cameras in an arcade motocross game. I'm telling you, I think it's the best one of all of them. Them newer Milestone games don't even come close to this first-person mod of Reflex. Of course, I have to remind everybody, it is a mod. This wasn't made by, THQ Nordic or whatever the fuck. It was made by just community dude, Jamie T, right? So, but what I'm saying though is like, even when you whip, it looks so fucking good. When you scrub, it's like you can see the fender, the position of everything is just so good, dude. It's just standard. You don't feel like it's too high up. You don't feel like it's too low, too much of an angle, too far zoomed out. It's just perfect. It's literally fucking perfect. Jamie T knew exactly what this shit was supposed to look like. It's standard. It's standard, right? So, and that's kind of how I try to make my first-person camera on MX Simulator. You know, it has all the adjustments in a brother to that game. You can make it literally look however you want it to look. And this is about as close to that as I've seen of any arcade and motocross games first-person cameras. This is as close to my, you know, MX Simulator first-person camera settings that I've seen anywhere before. It's almost identical to that. Literally, like the angle of it, how much of the fender you see, you know, all that type of shit. God, it just looks so good, dude. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Literally the best first-person arcade camera there is right now, dude. Like, you got to, if you have Reflex on PC, you have got to download this mod. You've got to download it, man. This is a necessary must-have sort of mod right here. It's a must-have. I'll go get on a track that's got more pre-made ruts here in a second, but you know kind of how, like, helmet cams will look when they're going through those long ruts, and you really, I don't even know how to explain that in words, but kind of how you'll see the front fender kind of knife and dive through the rut and come out of the rut. It looks identical in this game when you hit hardcore ruts. Let me go to that track just so I can show what the hell I'm talking about here. Alrighty then, so here we are on the Red Bud custom track of MX Simulator, and it's got some monster-ass pre-made ruts. Titties! It's got some monster-ass pre-made ruts on this track, like, oh my god, dude, they're fucking awesome. This is what makes me completely hate games like the Milestone motocross games that have no pre-made roughness, no pre-made inside ruts. It's like, good lord. This is motocross gaming. Those Milestone shits are a complete joke and a half, I'm telling you, bro. But either way, like you'll notice, you see how the camera will kind of, when you get down in a hardcore rut like that, the way the camera will track your fender movement, it's fucking perfect. Like, it looks so realistic, dude. It really does. It looks so good. It looks so real. There's nothing about it that feels janky. You know what I'm saying? Like, typically with most first-person cameras, there's always something to it that's kind of like, I don't really like that very much. You know what I mean? Like, it just looks kind of weird. But this, it just looks great all the way around. I literally have no complaints for this at all. Whoa, Spencer Turley not having a complaint? This fucking awesome. Dude, when something's amazing and awesome, I will come in here and say it, goddammit. It's just there's a lot of shit that's not amazing and awesome, and it's terrible. And I have to go in there and say how terrible it is. But when something's badass like this, I will come in here and tell you how fucking awesome it is. This is so perfect for this game. Like, dude, this is the best training you could possibly have to sort of be like that work up to first person in MX Simulator. This is the best thing you could possibly do, is ride on the with the first person camera mod on Reflex, and obviously Reflex is probably the most realistic not probably, it is the most realistic arcade motocross games physics-wise. So being on a game like that and then having it in a really good first-person camera like this is the best training you could possibly have for, like, if you're really used to arcade motocross games or you're really used to third-person in motocross games and you're trying to learn the first-person in MX Simulator, it's just, like, really, really difficult and you're struggling with it, you're having a hard time with it. This is the best way to work your way up to that. I'm just telling you, this is the best way to learn first person in MX Simulator. If you just can't do it by playing first person in MX Simulator, you know what I mean? If you're having too much trouble like that, this is the best way to sort of learn your basis and learn kind of the standard, like, a good first person camera and how that looks and feels, and with a somewhat realistic physics bike underneath you, right? So this is the best training you could possibly have for, like, the workup to the first person on MX Simulator. 100%. I played all these motocross games. I'm telling you right now, this is the best practice, best, kind of in between in between arcade and working up to a first-person in a simulator game that you could possibly have right here. Riding in the first-person camera mod on Reflex, it's the best, hands down, for that. And I think this is the best first-person experience you can have in an arcade motocross game, period, right now. It is the best. It is light years ahead of the milestone first-person cameras. This is like light years ahead, dude. And it's interesting because it had the capability of being like this, but they lowered the damn field of view so much for the default version of it. It's really bizarre why they did that. Like why, Rainbow Studios did that back then. I don't know. But either way, Jamie T found the way. You know what I'm saying? So, dude, I could just sit here and play like this all fucking day long. This is giving me a whole nother, like, respect for this game and a whole nother love for this game. Like I say, I love the first-person, riding in first-person. I did it for a long time on the 360 version of Reflex, but I'm not going to even sit here in front, dog. This is 10 times what that is. 10 times. It's just crazy what can happen when you raise that field of view a little bit, and it's fucking badass because he didn't raise it too much. It's not too much field of view, you know. There's kind of a balance there. You want some field of view, but not too much, but it was way too low on the default, right? So he found that whole sort of balance there with it, but either way, just had to come in here and make a video on this. This shit was too legendary not to. Jamie T, if you die, you're a legend. You know what it is. This should just come in the game. I mean, basically, like, this is how you should replicate your first-person camera for the next MX versus ATV game. Rainbow Studios and THQ Nordic. Make it like this. This is how you do it. And it's so cool because it's such a good first-person with this mod, but also it's such a good physics motocross game that those two things sort of combine together to make this just absolutely badass first-person arcade motocross gaming experience, right? Like, you could take this first-person camera, slap it on one of the milestone games, and it wouldn't feel this good because the physics aren't as good. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of, it all just sort of works together, and everything affects everything and makes it as good as it is. You know what I mean? God, it's just so much fun, though. But either way, just wanted to, come in here and make a video on this, let you guys know about it. So, like I say, if you want to go download this, just go to the ds19.eu website. It'll be right there. You can see all the different mods on there. It's a heavy hitter one right here, boys. This is a big time one. This is just too badass. Like, you've got to have this if you have the PC version of Reflex. You've got to. I can't believe I went so long without it, but this is fucking where it's at, dude. This is where it's at. Just the way it tracks that fender going through the ruts, and like when you start turning and you start surfing through the sand ruts and shit, and just kind of like, look at this. Like, you can kind of feel the bike surf over to the side, but it doesn't totally lose where you're looking. It kind of still somewhat keeps this straightforward view. No matter if you whip it all the way over or whatever, it doesn't like really like, take your view somewhere crazy or anything like that. So it's really cool. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.